Hi guys, welcome back to Girl Therapy. I'm your host, Nicole. Thank you so much for joining me another week. I missed you so much. If you are watching on YouTube right now, you'll notice that my room is bright. We're going to be talking about being happy today, and I just figured the dark room vibes didn't really fit that topic. So I'm out of my depression cave. I feel like the last two episodes have been pretty heavy, and I've talked about being low and being down, and now we're going to talk about being happy. We have to talk about being happy because that is ultimately what everybody wants in life, right? And it's not something we can buy, and it's not something that there's a recipe to find. There's no specific things that you do where you can check off all these things and find happiness. It's different for everybody, and there's a different formula for everybody, and happiness looks different and feels different for every single person. So again, it's not something that you can just go out and get and buy. So to find happiness is really the ultimate form of wealth, right? That's like the ultimate reward. That's when you know you're doing life right. You did life right. It's when you're happy. And you can't be happy all the time, but you can be happy majority of the time. And that's what we're looking for. We're not looking for perfection. We're just looking for, majority happiness. It's like the 80% rule in your diet, right? It's like 80% happiness rule too. So if I'm 80% happy for most of my life, I think I'm doing pretty good. But before we jump into that, just little updates. I actually don't really have many updates. I literally did nothing this weekend, guys. Like Friday, what did I do Friday that I was so tired? Oh, I just didn't sleep well Thursday. And then I taught Friday. Class was amazing. It's so nice that so many of you guys come up to me actually in class or after class, and you're like, I found you because of your podcast, or my friend recommended your podcast. And then I started following it and was like, I didn't realize that. I don't know. I get a lot of people who are following me because of my TikTok, but I have been getting a lot of people who've been saying that they've found me because of my podcast. So I love that. I love that you guys are, that my podcast really helps you guys. Like I received messages on the daily, and nothing makes me happier. So shout out to you guys. I love you. And thank you guys for always stopping me and saying hi. Like I think at least once a day somebody stops me, and it truly does make my day, and you're never bothering me. So please always come say hi and we can chat. But anyways, Friday I literally slept like all day. And then it was kind of weird. Oh yeah, because I was literally, guys, Friday when I was teaching class. So Thursday we went salsa dancing, which was so much fun. I've never salsa danced in my life, and my girlfriends are like dancers, and I'm actually gonna start dancing. I used to dance. This is just getting so off topic, but anyways, so we went salsa dancing, and we sweat so much that it was disgusting. I had to beeline it out of there after we finished. I was like, guys, I need to go home. They're like, we're gonna stay and dance. I'm like, okay, stay. I need to get up early, whatever. So I came home, showered, did not hydrate properly. Woke up for class on Friday, obviously had maybe one drop of water in my system, had a coffee, taught class. Obviously it's hot. Obviously I'm screaming. I'm doing most of the class as well. At the end of the class, when I'm closing out, I start convulsing, shaking. And I'm not even being dramatic. It was I was on one of those machines that shakes you. That's what it was I was on, and it was scaring me, and I was trying to talk, couldn't get the words out. I was shaking. I was like, they're gonna think I'm crying or there's something wrong with me. Imagine I was holding high boat for a minute and then tried to talk. I was shaking. I was like, okay, namaste. I was like, namaste. I literally could not fucking stop shaking. It was scary. And then I told my friend I would take yoga with her afterwards. I always do, and I couldn't bail. I couldn't bail. So I went and I took class, but I was so weak. I could not stop shaking all day. So I came home and I slept for 4 hours. I think I was just severely dehydrated, and then obviously overexhausted. So remember to listen to your body, guys. And then I just went for a little walk. And then Saturday I did a full beach day with my girlfriend. We just laid out and roasted in the sun. We did yoga early in the morning, which was nice. And then got some breakfast, laid out in the sun, came home, showered, snuggled up, read my book. And then yesterday I literally just cleaned all day, went for a little walk, and then read my book. I was a total bookworm this weekend. I'm getting back into my reading era, and I love reading because one, it keeps me from doom scrolling, which kind of plays in today's episode of happiness and stuff because I think the internet, social media robs us of a lot of our joy and happiness because we're constantly comparing ourselves to other people, or we're just like not getting outside because we're scrolling. And being outside in the sun has major benefits, and being around actual human beings also has major benefits to your happiness, especially positive and good people. But when you're just scrolling all day and you're staying inside, that's going to lead to depression. That's going to make you sad, especially if you're just comparing your life to other people and you're like, wow, they're out there having so much fun, or why can't I have those things, or why haven't those things happened to me, or why doesn't my life look like that, or why don't I look like that, period. That can take a really big toll on your mental health. But staying inside and reading, that doesn't take a toll on my mental health. I am living in this like fantasy land of like love. Like it's like whenever I read these romance books, I'm like, oh, this is my love life. Like this is my life now. Like there's a man who is obsessed with me and in love with me. It's probably a little unhealthy to a point, but I just literally stayed in all day and just read. I could not put the book down. I just am such a sucker for like romance books. I just love them so much. And it's nice to like live in this like alternate reality, I guess. That's kind of depressing, but it puts your brain in a really good place. And I do feel like when I'm on this wave of like love and like happy endings and this stuff, like I'm more positive and like better things come out of it, you know, like it translates into my reality. He just attacked my hand. Ow! What is wrong with you? Can we not do this right now? Can you come back to this later? She's going to attack me again. Watch. Okay, back down. That's what I thought. Anyways, so, yeah, I do feel like it puts my brain in like this, like, love bubble. And I start to like seek out and see more love around me, which then attracts more love, if that makes sense. That was my weekend. But now we're here. And we're going to talk about happiness. And like I said earlier, happiness is the one common denominator between every single person on this planet. We all just want to, one, be happy, and two, find love at the end of the day. And it's funny because the two things that we really, really want, we can't buy. There's no secret formula. There's no book on it. There's things that help us get there, but you can't buy it. You can't put a price on it either. Happiness is interesting because it's not the way our brains are wired. We are not hardwired to be happy. Our brains actually don't care if we're happy. Our brains care if we are safe and we survive. For like a little science moment, it's called negative cognitive bias. This is your brain just wanting to keep you in survival mode. Our ancestors, if you're whatever, cave woman in the wild, I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, don't ever ask me. Actually, I love science, but don't ever ask me like to speak like this or give you guys facts, because this is just not me. But just to go back to it, right? Like, that is, our brain is hardwired that way for a reason, and it's to keep us alive. If we're out there in the wild, our brain is constantly looking for threats. It's constantly thinking the worst possible case scenario to keep us safe. The problem with that now is that we don't really live in that type of world anymore. We live in a modern day world with an ancient brain. There's not as many threats around us. I'm not scared that I'm going to walk down Brickell and a lion's going to attack me. That's not going to happen. For the most part, I'm pretty safe. Obviously, things happen. There are some creepy people in Brickell, but like for the most part, I'm safe. So I don't always need to jump immediately to the negative. I don't need to always be on the lookout. I don't always need to obviously be safe wherever you are, but like I don't always need to be on the defense, because that's probably not the likely scenario. I'm not getting hunted. I'm not, I don't know, actually, guys. Miami is pretty scary. Like, these men out here, like, I feel like I'm constantly dodging bullets. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, stay away from me. Our brain will constantly want to keep us safe, which means we're constantly seeking out the negatives. And it could just be in a dating situation too. Like when somebody doesn't answer your text, maybe, or maybe not dating, maybe someone doesn't answer your text and your brain might immediately jump to, oh my God, they died. Or like, oh my God, like, what if they never text me back again? Did I do something that made them mad at me? Like, you're constantly always thinking bad things and not good things. And I think the people who are more anxious happen to be more negative, because you're constantly thinking about the future. You're a pessimist. You're thinking about all the bad things that could go wrong in the future. Where an optimist is thinking about all the positive things that could happen. And the positive always outweighs the negative. Where a pessimist, the negative's going to outweigh the positive. They're always going to have more reasons why something could go wrong than not. My sister is a perfect example. She will always jump to like the craziest things. And I'm like, where did you even come up with that? Like, that's not even where my brain was at all. Like, my brain's at a totally different place. And it just shows in how we live our lives too. Like, my sister is a way more anxious person than I am. I'm pretty laid back, go with the flow for the most part. My sister is high strung, high anxiety. She's going to be a helicopter parent for sure. She already is over her dogs. When you are constantly seeking out the negatives and things, of course, it's going to make you a more anxious person, which is, of course, going to make you an unhappy person. I don't want to say, oh, you're anxious, so you're unhappy, but I do think that if you are constantly training your brain to think that way, that's going to be the default. And the good thing is that you can untrain your brain and you can train your brain to look for the positives, but it does take work. You don't have to succumb to your natural instinct to think negative things, or you also don't have to stay in that negative mindset thinking. And just because you've been a pessimist your whole life, or just because you've had anxiety your whole life, doesn't mean that you can't fix that or try to, or doesn't mean that you can't make changes to help aid yourself to not be so pessimistic and to be more optimistic and to look for the positive and rewire your brain. You don't always have to jump to the negative. One day it'll just be your default to be positive and you'll be like, oh shit, like I just thought a positive thought. Hell yeah. So there are things that we could do to help ourselves, and that should give you, I hope that makes you feel better, and that you don't always have to feel like you're this, person who's constantly seeking out the negative or unhappy, because at the end of the day, happiness is a choice and you do have to make that choice every single day. I'm going to be referencing this book a little bit throughout this podcast. I actually just found it today because I was like, I want to do a podcast about happiness. And then I was like, I feel like I have a little book. So I have this, it's literally called The Little Book of Happiness. I'm dead. It's called The Little Book of Happiness. It's by Allison Davies. I wouldn't say like, oh my God, go run out and get it. It just has like little quotes. It's like 80 pages or something. I read it all this morning. Like, it's not a book by any means. It's like just little quotes and little like tidbits of information. There's a few things in it that I want to reference. This is why I hate like ever referencing anything, because then I'm just here like, let me pull up page blah blah blah. Like, I just ramble. So honestly, always take everything I say with a grain of salt, because I'm just a girl. It says, okay, there is no standard recipe for happiness, nor is there an equation, simple or otherwise. The secret to being in the state of joy is far more complex and made up of a balance of ingredients which differs for each individual. There is, however, a formula that guarantees contentment, and it is this: learn what makes you happy and then find it every day. Hold on to it, but don't cling to it, or you will suffocate the emotion. Happiness needs room to breathe and grow. Like a tree, it stands the test of time, but it also changes, shifting and turning with each season. What made you happy when you were 5 might not make you happy anymore when you're 50. Then again, you might return to childish pursuits to rekindle those blissful emotions. The choice is yours, and that is the key. Happiness is a choice, conscious or otherwise. It's that feeling of the cup overflowing, a cheerful approach to life, a general satisfaction with your lot, whatever it may be or however it may present itself. Happiness is a place between too little and too much. And then, this is something that just is so, I guess, nostalgic for me. This last page says carpe diem, seize the day. So carpe diem means seize the day. Translated from Latin, this philosophy is commonly used to encompass the enjoyment of the pleasure of a moment without concern for the future or the past. I had an English teacher in high school, who, her name, I think it was Miss Johnson. I would love to go back to my high school and see some of my teachers who impacted me, because there's a few who I remember by name. And it's funny how you remember a few things and like a few teachers who really impact you. And for that, I'm like so grateful, because wow, it's so important that we have those figures, adult figures in our life, especially for people who didn't maybe have those in their childhood. Like me, I would say like, yes, I had a mom and dad, but were they my role models? No. But Miss Johnson, now that I like see what she was trying to do and spread, I'm like, wow, like we were so lucky to have you, and any student who's ever had you is so lucky, especially for those who don't have good role models. But her saying was carpe diem, and when we walked into her classroom, we had to just take on that mentality. She would say carpe diem every single day, carpe diem. And I was like, this lady's so weird and annoying, and she's an English teacher, so she was like obsessed with like Latin words and sayings, and she was so goofy, and she was always wearing she had a different pair of glasses that she wore every single day for school, and she would match them to her outfit. And I would say like that woman was the epitome of joy. She was so happy. She loved what she did. She loved spreading happiness and joy. And I don't know what was going on in her life. You know, I think about it and I'm like, she was just a human. She probably has really bad days, but every day that we saw her, she was so happy. And she was always wearing a different pair of sunglasses, and she always would come in with the best attitude and just say carpe diem, seize the day. And at that age, I didn't realize what seize the day was or meant or cared for. Honestly, I was like, I'm literally just 15 years old trying to get an A in this class and wondering if Jason likes me. That was my concern at that point, and like where the party's at and where we're getting the alcohol this weekend. I thought that I was going to be young forever. I had problems, yes, but like I'm trying to think, like, was I a happy person always? I think yes, honestly, until my parents started to go through this nasty divorce and my home life got really messy when I was younger. I went through a phase where I was definitely like depressed. I guess you don't really do much to help yourself when you're younger, because I don't think we address it when we're younger. Like we just don't know what's going on because we're teenagers. We have so many hormones and emotions, and we're also just like don't have a care in the world and think we're invincible. So I remember at that point in my life, I had this really optimistic English teacher who I loved going to her classes. She was the one teacher who I remember being in her classroom and I was like, I have to be present and I can't be upset. It was really weird for me to go from somebody who was really happy and had all these things. I like lived this beautiful childhood up into a point where it's like I was the kid who got gifted the horse on Christmas. Like, is that not everybody's dream? Like, I was gifted a pony on Christmas. I never wanted for anything. Like, I was happy. And then my parents went through this thing. My dad cheated on my mom, and it was really messy. And I don't need to get into details of that. And they drug it out for years and years and years and years and years. And it wasn't until college that they officially separated. But I'm just saying all this to say that, like, it was really weird to go as a kid as someone who was, like, really happy to then someone who was, like, still happy, but then experiencing all these things at home. So then I was, like, also kind of sad. But then my friends couldn't, like, really relate. Like, who do you relate to at that age? Like, not everybody's parents is going through that, and not everybody's talking about this stuff when they're younger. And my parents didn't give me a therapist. So I was just kind of like this brooding teenager who was like angry and I was rebelling. And it just felt weird for me to be unhappy. And I was like cosplaying this unhappy person, I feel like, for a while. Like, it was also probably just going through being a teenager and not knowing who you are. But I remember like there was a phase where I was like super emo, like wore all black, everything, would listen to like crazy like headbanging music, which is like so weird for me. And like I was like drinking and a lot, and drinking during school, drinking at my job at Peach Wave, like drinking during the day, drinking at night, I was like smoking weed. I don't even know. Like, I don't know. I was like taking like bong rips. Like, what? I guess trying to figure myself out, but deal with all these emotions. And it wasn't until I was then able to like remove myself from those situations. And, I went to college and I moved out, and then my happiness became my duty. It was no longer the things that were going on around me. It was, how can I find happiness with myself? I can't blame my home life. I can't blame my family. I can't blame my friends. I can't blame my surroundings. I'm responsible. I'm an adult. And at one point you become responsible for your happiness, and you become responsible for all these needs that you have. And we all have these needs to feel loved, secured, safe, connected, and significant. These are all things that we require as human beings. And as you get older, we require to be heard, we require to be seen, we require to be celebrated. When you're younger, it's not your responsibility to do those things for yourself, but when you're older, it is. Our genes influence 50% of how we feel. That's a big chunk. That's what you're born with. That's your human design. 50% of that you can't control. And I understand we're all different in how we're born and what we're given. I know some people are just don't naturally produce as many happy chemicals or hormones as some people. So that's out of your control. But 10% of that is the things that happen to you and your surroundings, your home life, your finances, this and that. And then the other 40% of that is your day-to-day activities, how you show up for yourself, the things that you do, the people that you surround yourself with, your hobbies. That's a big chunk. So in reality, 50% of your happiness you do have control over. That is in your hands. So how do we, my cat's annoying me, how do we become happier? How do we change our brain? How do we rewire our brain? This is how we do it. And I'll give you a few strategies and I'll help you out a little bit. So based off those needs, let's just jump into that quickly. When a need isn't being met, when we're not getting one of those things, when we're not feeling loved, when we're not feeling seen, when we're not feeling safe, when we're not feeling secure, and we're not feeling that way on a day-to-day basis, that becomes our script. We start to then just throw out that need entirely. Simplest thing is to talk about love. If you are constantly being, ghosted, broken up with, disappointed, let down, finding these bad dates, bad guys or girls, whoever, you're immediately going to be like, you know what? It's just not in my journey to be loved, to find a good guy. It's just not for me. It's just not going to happen for me, because you just get so sick of it and tired. And that's real. I get it. It's real. But it then becomes how you talk about the situation in yourself, and it becomes your script, which is then going to become your reality. That's what becomes our familiar, and that becomes what we start to seek out, because what we talk about is what we subconsciously look for. So I really never like to talk negatively too much about things, because it becomes what you start to seek out. You're not looking for the positive, you're automatically always looking for the negative, which then translates to self-sabotage. And then you sabotage good things in front of you because you're just looking at the negatives, and negatives that aren't even really there. You're creating false narratives or false negatives in your brain to make yourself feel safe, because the unknown is scary and being vulnerable is scary, right? But there's safe and security in being like, if I push this person away or this thing away or this need away, then I won't be disappointed when I don't get it, which means I'm safe. But then you're also robbing yourself of joy, happiness, and the potential of love, or the potential of security, the potential to allow somebody to show up for you. You're robbing yourself of that, and you're robbing that person of that as well. So that's just what I have to say about that, about our script. Let's go back to negative cognitive bias, which is our brain constantly seeking out the negatives and things. And this is just going to piggyback right off of what I just said. How we rewire our brain is to just start looking at the positives of things. If you're used to finding the negatives in things, and that's just how your brain's been functioning, it's going to be hard to untrain that. That's going to be your initial knee-jerk reaction in a situation. You can't go from being a pessimistic person to suddenly being the most optimistic person in the world. That's just not how that works, and that's not reality of it. And it's not unhealthy to think negative things. I think when you look at situations for all that they can be and all the possibilities, that could be healthier to understand all the realm of possibilities. The goal is just to understand that the positive is also possible, okay? And to be able to kind of lean more in that direction. So when something happens next time and your brain immediately goes to the negative, allow yourself to think that for a minute. Go down that path. Be like, yeah, that could happen. These are all the negative things, the bad things, the possibilities that could happen on that end of the spectrum. But now, instead of stopping there, let's look at all the things that could happen on the other end of the spectrum. Let's look at all the positives that could come from this situation. And let's evaluate it there. Let's go on the extreme end, because we're going to be on the extreme end of both sides. So extreme negative, extreme, optimism. And then you can also come up with the situation right in the middle, which is probably the reality of the situation for the most part. Usually life doesn't happen on the way extremes. It's usually something in the middle. So you can kind of use that as your gauge and think, well, okay, let me not think so negative. And I don't need to think maybe so positive, but I can think of the realistic option for this. And I think when you think that way and you allow yourself to see that there's different sides to everything, and there's different perspectives and different ways to view things. It's healthier. It's more of a balance. But when you immediately start going from like, okay, I've looked at the negative, now I can look at the positive, you're teaching your brain that the negative isn't the only option. There is also positives to things. And when you allow your brain to go to the positive side, I think you'll start to go more positive in general. I handle situations really well because I am just an optimistic person. I'm a problem solver and a happier person in general because when things don't go right, I immediately look at the positive. And sometimes it's really annoying for people around me who like just want to be negative or upset, because I'll just be like, oh, well, now this happens, or now this and this, or this, you know, and it could be the most like minuscule reason to be happy, or it could be the most minuscule like positive thing that comes out of something. But like, there's that. I always look at what I gained from a situation and not what I lost, because what I lost is irrelevant at this point in time. Like, it's like that happened, can't change it, can't control it, but this is where I'm at now. Now where can I go with this? How can I make lemonade out of these lemons? That's where my brain always goes. And it actually makes me, I think, also a very successful person in everything that I do, because as soon as something doesn't go right or goes askew, I'm like, okay, new plan. How can we pick ourselves up and go here? Where I think when you're more negative, you kind of stunt your growth. You kind of just halt yourself and you're like, well, you throw it all away. You're like, well, that was the negative and I suck, or I knew this would happen, and this always happens to me. And then when you say things like that, the more negative's going to happen. The more negative energy you put out there, the more negative energy that manifests. The more positive things you put out there, the more positive things that manifest. That's why the people who are always like, oh, this would happen to me, or this type of thing always happens to me. That type of thing always happens to them because they're always in that mindset, and that's their script. They're constantly seeking out the negatives of situations. Where me, I'm like, I'm positive. So there's always that person who's like, oh, that would happen to that person. They're always so lucky. And it's not that they're always lucky. They could have had the same situation happen to them, but they did something different with that piece of information or with that scenario. The same thing could happen to me as it does an extremely negative person, and how we handle the situations is going to be so different, and what we get out of the situations will be so different because of our mindset around it and because of how we move forward in that situation. Who's problem solving, who's being more flexible, and then who's not. For me, I'm just like, life's gonna happen. How can I make the best situation out of this? And then some people don't think that way. Some people just want to stay in the negative because that's easier. And a lot of the times that's low effort, and it's safer for them because they're used to feeling that way, or they're used to that thing happening. It saves them, I guess, more disappointment or more hurt or heartbreak by, taking it for what it is and that being it. So just the next time something negative happens, or I don't even want to say negative, the next time something happens and your brain immediately wants to jump to the negative, also try to think about the positive, and also try to think about the realistic, option. And then we just see what happens, right? But try to train your brain to always go towards the positive. On that note, another thing to rewire your brain is to constantly be looking at the positive. Constantly be seeking little pieces of joy throughout your day, throughout these situations that are happening. It could be going on a walk and just like seeing a dog that looks really cute, and maybe you just look at it for a second and you smile. Or maybe you just observe a situation that you found a second of joy or happiness in, and you just sit there in it and you just be present. Happiness and joy is fleeting, especially the extreme moments. We can't constantly live on that high, but we can sit in it for a moment. And I think that people who are more comfortable sitting in happiness for a couple minutes, for an hour, who are celebrating, are going to be happier than the people who something good happens and they immediately jump to the next thing because they're uncomfortable in it. I like to find little pockets of happiness throughout the day and enjoy those moments. Smile at them, celebrate them, write them down even, take pictures. A lot of the times if I see something that makes me happy or think of somebody, I take a picture of it because it's this moment that I got to experience joy or happiness. It's just this little pocket of sunshine throughout the day. And when you're constantly thinking back on your day and thinking like, what were the good things that happened today? What were the little moments that made me happy? How can I seek out more of those? You train your brain to constantly seek out happy things, little moments. it's really good to sit in those and to hold on to those. Also, when somebody like gives you a compliment, accept it. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Instead of being like, oh no, whatever, be like, thank you. And kind of like sit in that little moment of like, yeah, like, you know, they noticed that about me. That's really nice. Like, try to find these little pockets of love and happiness throughout your day so that your brain starts to one day just look for these things without you having to actively try as much. I've done this so much throughout my life where I wake up and I'm just happy. Immediately now when I wake up every single day, for the most part, before my eyes are even open, I'm like, thank you, God. Thank you for my body. Thank you for that sleep. Thank you for another day. I keep my eyes closed and I just do that. I'm just like, thank you. Because any day that you wake up, honestly, is a good day. It's a good day to be alive. And expressing gratitude scientifically, again, studies show that people who express gratitude every day, I think, are like, I don't know how many percent's happier, but a lot more percent. Again, don't mark me on that. You can Google it if you want to, but I will say that expressing gratitude, find the facts on your own time. People who express gratitude every day are scientifically happier, are proven to be happier than people who don't express gratitude. You can either say it out loud or have a little gratitude journal and write down things that you're grateful for every single day. No matter how small or big, it could just be like, I'm grateful for this sweatshirt on my back. I'm grateful for, you know, this air in my lungs. I'm grateful for this cup of water. Yeah, it shouldn't take these big moments of like loss to remind ourselves that life is so precious. And it does take those moments. Like death is a reminder of how fragile life is to us. And I hate that sometimes it takes these really big, disastrous, catastrophic, sad moments for us to remember that life is so precious and short-lived and small and fragile, or that we should be grateful for these basic things that we have every day, like the roof over our head and water. But it does take those things sometimes. Just last week I was driving and this woman came up to my window and she's like, do you have like anything? And she's homeless, obviously. She's super sweet. And I just like, I didn't have any water. I felt so bad. And it was such a hot day. And I was like, I need to start carrying water in my car for her or for anybody, for these people who stop me, because I always like to give whenever I can. If I can give, I will give. If I have something, I will give it to them. And I just gave her, I had a bunch of granola bars in my car, so I just gave her a bunch of them. And then I felt so bad because they were like chocolate granola bars. And I'm like, oh my nuts, it's gonna make her more thirsty. But like she needed food or water, so I just like gave her a bunch. She was so grateful. And I literally was like, I love you. Like I was like, I was like, I don't know, I love her. I was like, I love you. I'm so sorry. I wish I had like something else. And it reminded me, I was like, wow, how grateful and how lucky I am to have access to water, AC, and food. Everybody should have that, and not everybody does. If you are grateful every single day for everything that you have, it just can't coexist with sadness or depression. It just can't. The two can't coexist together. That's also a fact. Me with all the facts today. Gratitude and sadness and fear cannot coexist at any point in time. Yeah, so look for the positive, relish in the happy moments, and be present and be grateful. Those are great strategies. The next thing I would say is surrounding yourself with really happy, positive people. I have the most, honestly, for the most part, my friends are very happy. I have a few who are not as happy, and I have to pick and choose when I spend time with them, honestly, because sometimes I don't know how they're going to show up or how they're going to be. And that energy is really contagious. Happiness is contagious, and so is sadness. Which is why sometimes when I'm really sad, or when I was sad, I didn't want to show up like that every day for you guys. I was like, I can't put this on them because it is contagious. And I want to spread positivity. And people who are positive and around optimistic people are also more likely to be positive and optimistic and happy. It's just the truth. Whenever I leave my friends who are really happy and positive and optimistic, that rubs off on me, and they leave me in that state as well. And then it just generates more of that in me, and I feel energized and I feel charged again. Keeping the company of optimists increases your personal happiness. This is because positive emotions have a tendency to rub off on our own mood, meaning it's hard to remain sad when those around you are full of joy. Studies have shown that every happy friend increases your probability of happiness by 9%. That is a big percent. Some cause happiness wherever they go, others whenever they go. So that's cute. So spread the joy. Honestly, it's just a simple smile, whether it's to a friend or a stranger, just smiling for yourself can really change things. Smiling goes a very long way. And I know it's like weird sometimes to smile at strangers or to just force yourself to smile when you're upset or sad, but it does help. It really does help to force yourself to smile and to just be goofy and not take things so seriously. And that's a big one, is to not take yourself or life too serious, because it's just really not that serious. And it's not fun to be serious all the time. We need to be goofy. We need to have humor. We need to just allow ourselves to not be perfect, allow ourselves to make fun of ourselves sometimes. And yeah, I think like when you're too serious and stern, it just robs you of happiness and joy, because it's just really not that serious at the end of the day. It's never that serious. And then I think when you don't take things more serious, I also just think you're just more comfortable in your skin and who you are. And I think that's like one of the most attractive qualities too. And one of the most radiant things is to just be so secure and happy in who you are, and to just not take yourself serious. I think all that translates. I think confident people are okay with not being perfect and with making mistakes and, you know, just cracking jokes. That's a confident person to me. Let's talk about movement and food. Huge things to help with your happiness. What we eat, our diet plays a huge role into our moods and emotions. Our gut and our brain are connected. If our gut is happy, our brain is happy. If our brain is happy, our gut is happy. Our digestive system is huge. And what we are feeding ourselves plays a part in our mood and emotions. People who are eating fast food, takeout, and eating greasy foods, high in fat, not prioritizing their health, are going to be more depressed than people who aren't, than people who take care of themselves and are healthy and happy, moving their body and eating foods with nutrients and are taking care of their gut health. Having protein, good protein sources, that helps. And like dopamine boosting food, which is like dark chocolate, which we love chocolate, bananas, chicken, shit like that, sweet potatoes. I don't know, Google it. Google healthy serotonin boosting foods. You'll find something. Fuel your body with healthy, happy foods. Healthy people are 20% more happy than unhealthy people. Movement also plays a huge role into that. Exercising releases endorphins. Of course, we all know that. And then we get like natural highs off of that. I always say I've never had an addictive personality and I'm not an addict. When it comes to my endorphins, I am an addict. When it comes to movement, exercise, I am an addict, because I am trying to get high. I'm needing those. I need those chemicals to release in my brains. That's why they call it a runner's high. I don't run, but like I did try to run last week, guys. Couldn't run. Don't worry about me. I know I said if I ever run again, worry about me. I gave it a try. It's not for me. My knee immediately started hurting. I was like, okay, anything that hurts my body is not for me. So find what movement works for you and do it every day. Do it daily. Find the things that make you happy and do them daily. That's really that simple. But for me, obviously, yoga every single day on my mat, moving my body in a way that feels right, listening to myself. That's what does it for me. Going on long walks, that also does it for me. Being in the sunshine, that does it for me. And then, you know, whatever other exercises I want to incorporate. But find an exercise that you can do daily, that you look forward to, and that gets your body moving. Movement is honestly everything. When they used to say, like, you know, our parents used to be like, I don't know, go outside, go for a walk or something if you're like sad. And you're just like, what, mom? Like, are you kidding? The love of my life just broke up with me in like 5th grade. Like, what do you mean go for a walk? Just go for a walk, get some air. Honestly, it works. Go for a walk, get some air. It'll change everything. It's healthy to see things from a different perspective, but also just to get outside in fresh air. Especially if you're somebody who works like a 9-to-5 desk job, if you can find little pockets of time to go outside and just go for a little walkie whenever you can, try to do that. This is turning into like a really long episode. I'm so sorry. I said smile already. What else do I have written down? Oh, music. Guys, this is so big for me because I love music. I was thinking about this yesterday. Like, music fuels my life. I'm such a music person, but I also love sad music. I love music that puts me in because I love emotional music. I'm just an emotional girly and I love emotional music and music that makes me feel something. But if I listen to too much sad music, I will be sad. And that's not healthy. To pretend that I'm going through a breakup like every single day, it's not good on my mental. It's not good on my nervous system. So try to listen to happy music. Obviously, like for me, I'm like, I just try to find a balance, but listen to happy music, because what you listen to directly plays a part into like your self-talk and the things going on in your brain and your mood and everything like that. I always find that when I'm listening to happier music, I am happier, but I love listening to sad music. Be careful with what you are consuming majority of the time, because it will play a part in your mood. Okay, this one I really love. Daydream. Allow yourself to daydream. Like, allow your brain to wander to these like fantasies or fairy tales or daydreams or whatever you want to call them. Allow your brain to go to those places of possibilities of like, what would a perfect scenario be? You know, like what would my perfect world or day be? And allow yourself to access that imagination and to visualize all these things that could happen, or the possibilities, and allow yourself to feel that. Because when you allow your brain to go there, you're telling your brain like, oh, that is possible. That future is possible. That outcome is possible, and I could go there. And honestly, this plays into manifestation. I don't even want to talk about manifestation. You know where I stand with that. Manifesting took a toll on me for a really long time because I was trying to control things constantly. This is different, I think, daydreaming and manifesting, but we could get into some sticky territory with that. I think just allow your brain to go to these places. The possibilities are endless and you don't really know the possibilities. But when you imagine these positive things happening, you kind of put yourself in that feeling of like, your body starts to feel like that thing is actually happening, which then will produce positive emotions. And sometimes your body just needs to feel the positive things, and then it'll start to seek out the positive in the reality, if that makes sense. So allow yourself to be like a kid, like use your imagination. And I like to do this before bed, honestly. It's like I lay in bed, I close my eyes. It's like before I fall asleep, and I just start to like imagine what, you know, my perfect scenario would be, my day would be, whatever. I've done it before where I've written down, I've wrote down like a journal entry of just like what my perfect day would look like from beginning to end, waking up to the end of the day. And sometimes I read that because it's just like, that would be my perfect ideal day. That's what I think happiness looks like for me. That's what joy looks like for me. So until you really know what it looks like for you, you're not going to know where to find it. So I think imagining it or writing it down will help you. It'll be like a little guide of like, this is what it would feel like for me, and this is what it would be. And you'll find that it's pretty simple, probably, what makes you happy. When you allow yourself to be a kid and, again, not take things so seriously, you can find happiness in the little things and the joy in the little things. I was looking at a little girl yesterday or a couple days ago in my pool, and she was just so happy. Like, you're just, I don't know, she's probably like 4 or 5, like not a care in the world, just splashing around in the pool. And just the little things as a kid make you so happy. Like, it's just the little joys. And we need to go back to that place sometimes of just remembering that the little things are really what matter. Be present in those moments and to allow your imagination to run wild. Be playful. With being playful, like going back to my salsa class this weekend too, I think when we're kids, we don't have a lot of fear and we try new things and we're constantly kind of going out of our comfort zone. We think we're invincible, but we're not as afraid of judgment when we're younger. We're less fearful to try new things. And as we get older, we start to think about all the ways we could either get injured or hurt ourselves, or things could go wrong, or people were going to make fun of us or judge us. And it holds us back from a lot of things that we maybe want to try in our hearts, just for fun. Doesn't mean you have to be good at it, right? You can go and play a new sport or try new things. And you might not be good at it, and that's okay. But I think those things make us feel like a kid again. They make us feel happy again. It's not, you don't always have to make it a career or a job or be really good at it. Like, I was talking about this earlier, like I'm going to start dancing again. I've been wanting to go back to doing like dances. I used to do hip hop when I was younger, and like I've been dying to get back into it. And I actually had someone reach out to me yesterday, which was like, again, the perfect things will find you if you put it out there. And it's a dance studio in Fort Lauderdale that reached out to me, and they want to like collab with me and do like some movement classes, and I could help with the yoga and also do dance. And I was like, literally nothing's more perfect. I actually have a call with her this afternoon. But allow yourself to indulge in things like that, in activities and hobbies. You don't have to be good at them, but you just have to do them and to just like it, just to like it. You know, you don't have to excel in it. You don't have to make money from it. you just have to enjoy it and be playful. And I think when you allow yourself to do that, you just become more yourself. And then when you're more yourself, you're free and you're happy. The last thing to be happy is to say, I love you. Say, I love you often to people, to yourself, the most often, please. But I don't think that it loses its touch. It doesn't lose its significance when you say it a lot. People need to hear it. Like whenever someone says I love you or love you, I just feel this like joy. Like, okay, wait, this week I met this guy. No, it's not like that. I met my friend's guy actually that she's talking to. And I literally knew the man like for 24 hours. I met him that day actually. I met him that day. He came salsa dancing with us. And I left salsa dancing before everybody else did because I wanted to get home. And I was hugging him goodbye. He was like, okay, bye. Like, love you so much. And I was like, I love you too. Like, I just met this man. And again, I don't actually, like, I'm not in love with him, but I do love you. Like, I love you. I love everybody. Like, I say at the end of my yoga class all the time, I'm like, I love you guys. Because I genuinely have so much love for everybody. And I don't think it loses its, like, how special the word or the phrase is when you say it to somebody, when you say it to people. There's different spectrums of it, right? There's a whole scale. How I love one person is going to be different than how I love another person, but it doesn't make it any less love. I think say love you to people. Say it all the time. It fills people with joy. I say it to people like at Pure Vita. Like I put it in my little notes whenever I do a to-go order. And I'm like, okay, love you. And I do a little smiley face. And then they like usually write on my food, like, love you too. Like, and it's so cute. It's just, say it to people because that feeling of joy, and sometimes people just need that reminder that they are loved, and it doesn't really matter where it comes from. Like a stranger telling me that he loves me on the street like fills me with just as much joy as like my friend being like, love you. Like I love to hear it, and I love to spread it, and I love to say it. And I think we need to say it more. We don't need to be afraid of that word. It's not this like sacred thing that, I mean, it's special, right? It's special when you hear I love you from that person that you want to hear it from. But like to say love you or I love you, I think is the most beautiful thing in the world. You never know who needs to hear it. And that like feeling of joy you get when you hear love you is just like unmatched. I seriously like can't say it enough. And there was one last thing. This quote is my favorite. This is what I want to leave the episode with. And it doesn't have anything to do with what we were just talking about. Well, it kind of does, but may your choices reflect your hopes, not your fears. And I love that. We all need to be making choices day to day that reflect the life that we want to create around us and not reflect what we are afraid of. You close the door on so many things when you operate from a place of fear than you do when you operate from a place of feeling happy and free or wanting that for yourself. And it's a choice. Operating from a place of fear is not going to get you anywhere. And I hope and pray that all your choices are coming from a place of love and happiness and optimism than a place of whatever is opposite that. It's just so powerful, like that phrase of just may all your choices reflect your hopes, not your fears. Because I truly want that for every single person. All of us are only as happy as we allow ourselves to be and allow our minds to be. And the world is your oyster. So I just want to say that. Say I love you to somebody or 10 people today. Go get some fresh air. Go for a walk. Fill your ears with happy music. Surround yourself with happy people. Look for the little pockets of joy throughout your day. And do that every single day. And wake up and I want you to say something you're grateful for right now. That's it. Just do a little bit of that every single day. And I'm really proud of you. And I love you always. I'm always here for you. And that's pretty much all I have for you guys. And we will talk next week. If you like this episode, feel free to tag me. Feel free to share it. Feel free to rate me 5 stars. Leave a comment. If you have anything negative to say, keep it to yourself. And that's it. Follow me on Instagram, Nicole Dayan, TikTok, Nicole_Dayan. And we will chat next week. I love you guys so much. Bye.